What time is it?
I don't know.
Actually, Alexa.
Alexa, what time is it? Alexa, what time is it? 2:30.
All right. I will be talking to y'all on the other side of the music. And let me get to my interlude and we're going to get this thing jumping. You heard me? Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. I know it ain't no technical difficulty. I'll tell y'all. We're going to get it started. Or we try this. Here we go. That's right. We're on live. We're going to get this thing done one way or another. What's up to y'all? Yeah. Welcome to Third Eye Visions, where we trying to eliminate the sound in the background, where we motivate the blind. We're gonna have some fun for the next hour, so come on in. Where we motivate the blind, stimulate your mind, and welcome all kind. This topic was so nice. I got a lot of response. I had to do it twice. Blind people are blind African Americans exploring discrimination in 2020. Do we think it exists because we can't see? Today, I have joining me that's going to help me out on this discussion. My girl, always my ride or die partner from Jennifer's Open Book. I'm going to allow her to introduce herself and give a little background as to what she does on her channel. And we're going to commit to getting this thing jumping. What up, Jennifer?
Hey! Was that chipper enough for you?
That's Chipper. Yeah, I should have checked out last night. She was full of that Moscato Johnson.
It was not Moscato.
That's a dude that went to school with her.
Uh-uh.
Anyway,
oh my goodness,
tell
that
everybody
sounded
what's
so
up.
horrible. Hi everybody, I'm Jennifer from Jennifer's Open Book. Go and find my channel, JINNERFER Open Book. I always spell it out because my first name is very different. Would say it's incorrect, he would be wrong. But on my channel, I motivate you to be a better you. We have discussions so that you can get different people's point of view. I just like to motivate people, make people feel good about being themselves and not what other people expect them to be. So that's what I have going on. Also, you can find me on Facebook under Jennifer Janelle. Again, JINNERFER. And of course, Janelle is spelled different too. So it's JINNELLE. And I'm on Instagram under Miss Jennifer S. So that's where you can find me.
So Jennifer, with all this misspelled things going on, how do you actually spell your name? Because we some of us we do spell names differently. Is it just
well, I just spelled my name the way you spell my name. It's JINNERFER.
no talking about on the Jennifer's Open Book? Is it still the same?
Oh, it's still the same. It's Jennifer JINNERFER''S Open Book.
Okay, so y'all check her out, man. For real, that's my girl, man. She is doing her things. We need that support. Both of us as African American channels. Definitely collaboration is a must, you know. But with that being said, we're gonna delve into the topic. But before I do that, make sure to subscribe. And I mean subscribe, hit that notification bell because you're gonna get updates. You never know what I may post on my channel, but it's definitely gonna be thought provoking as well as on Jennifer's Open Book. You're definitely gonna get some interesting educational stuff. Make sure to like, share, dislike if you don't like it. That's important too. Comment, let me know if you like more of these, and whatever else you can do with this YouTube situation. But anyway, Jennifer, we're gonna be talking about us as being blind African Americans, exploring whether racism exists in the 2020, and if so, if we don't think it exists, do you think that is because we are visually impaired and we just don't can't see it? Now, I explored this a couple of days ago, but I want to get your professional point of view on the topic. So I'm gonna sit back for a minute and let you expound on the topic and fulfill whatever duties you need to do and let the people know what's going on. Go ahead.
So first of all, the word that keeps sticking out to me in your title. Hold on 1 second. I have to get my kid.
Okay,
Mommy, hold on, play for me.
while she's
Okay.
doing that,
Okay.
definitely,
But the
I
I'm sorry. Go
explored that.
ahead.
I explored that a couple of days ago, and she's gonna elaborate more on it because it's a needed topic, and I got a lot of responses from people who are commending me on at least touching this particular topic. And it's not we're not here to bash any particular race. It's just the fact that we are uh, 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 we're seeing things that are affecting our particular race. So go ahead, Jennifer.
The word that keeps sticking out for me is the word you keep using exists, as if there's a possibility that it doesn't exist. And it's right in your face every day. It's hard to miss it. I think that it's amazing that you personally have never experienced racism. That is a rarity because I don't know anyone, including myself, who has not experienced racism. And we, as a people, as a whole, we have to deal with racism, and then within our own race, we have to deal with colorism. And I said this before, there is nowhere on this planet that I know of, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's not a place in this world that we can go and live peacefully. From what I've read, your music is kind of loud right now too.
Okay, let me take care of that.
From what I've read and the things that I see on television and even experience, even in other countries, um, the darker race is always treated less than the lighter race. When I was living in Florida, like they have a bunch of Cubans in Florida. Well, they favor the lighter, the white Cubans or the lighter Cubans over the darker ones. Haitians, same way. Africans, same way. The only people that I've ever really truly been comfortable around and accepted by, truly, me personally, were Jamaicans, and they were dark like me. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, like, it's it's difficult to miss it. It's right there. It's on television. You can't miss it. It's on social media. You can't miss it. It's outside your door.
So let me stop you on that, and that's a good point. Do you think and you've noticed it, and I've noticed it, and we both are visually impaired individuals. Do you feel that are you probably can tell me why do some people as blind people feel that it doesn't exist because they can't see it? I mean, that's a very a simple minded thought in terms of, well, I don't think racism can exist because I can't see it. So why do you think people feel that way? Is it because they just don't want to own up to it, or what's your opinion on it?
I think that it would be a blessing if everybody was that way. If no one could see, if like if we did not have to go through this, those people are in denial. I can't tell you because I don't know what frame of mind. I've never spoken to someone who says that they don't believe it exists. I've spoken to blind people who say, I can't see race. Like I can't see race, so it's not anything that I deal with. And that's them personally. But just because they aren't racist, which, like I said, is great, it doesn't mean that the world isn't. And I said this, and I left it in your comments. I said just because we're blind, it doesn't like we're blind, but the world is not going to let us forget that we're black. I've actually suffered racism at the hands of a blind white man.
You
Like
want
how?
you want to talk?
How
You want to
though?
talk? You want to tell us about that? That's very interesting.
It was when I was a teenager, and I shouldn't say a man, he was a young boy. But it was when I was a teenager. He was like this big angry blind guy, and he was uh of we were in this program and everybody was kind of like sitting in this room, and this one of my friends walked in. She's a black girl,
Mm,
and she walks in the room, and this guy is sitting in this chair. He was a white guy, and he was sitting where she normally sat at. Now everybody in the room was blind, and we kind of got used to sitting in certain places. She almost sat on him, and he stopped her, and he got up and gave her a seat.
mm.
So the big angry guy got mad at him for giving up his seat. He was like, "You don't have to give up your seat to her. She's a N-word."
Oh, you
I
are you
don't know if you
serious?
actually do. Yeah. So I actually came in on the end of this, and I was an angry teenager, okay?
Mm,
And that just kind of set me off. I grew up understanding racism. My mother used to like buy these, you remember the Iona Prize documentaries and stuff like that.
right.
We were taught about this kind of stuff, and we did Black History all year round. And my mom was a strong believer in equal rights and everything. So, we were shown that racism existed, but we were also taught that no, not one race was better than the other. So, but again, I digress. I was an angry teenager, so I went off on this dude and I was ready to fight him. And he was like, "All of y'all a bunch of N words or whatever."
Let
And
me go ahead because I want to ask you something once you finish that. Go ahead.
it was just crazy because, like, you already have
That's
you
fair.
already have enough insecurities being a teenager, being a blind teenager, and being a blind black teenager. And then you have this teenager, a white boy, and you said this, I don't know if you said, but we were talking about how racism is taught, how
Mm,
hatred is taught.
right.
A child, and you know what? Before I get to that, what were you gonna ask me?
That's what I want. That's you see you're reading my mind because I wanted to find out. I wanted to ask you because of the fact that that happened. Do you have in the back of your mind a thought of maybe racism was taught to that individual because you can't see a person's color. So by
It's
that being,
most
go ahead.
it's most definitely taught, and hatred is taught. You have to teach a child to hate,
Mm,
okay?
right.
And and I say that because children are innocent. They don't know nothing about that. They don't know anything about that. You have to teach that to a child. I remember seeing on Facebook a few years ago, these two little boys, they got their hair cut
Mm,
alike. And they came back to school trying to trick the teacher into thinking, they had swapped. You know what I mean? Like they thought that they looked alike, and it was
mm,
a black boy and a white boy.
mm,
And I thought that was so cute because they were kids and they don't know the difference. You know what I mean?
right.
Like that's sweet and that's innocent. You
Which go
have to be taught that.
which basically well we both echo those particular sentiments and that if you can't see how are you going to know that in order to be prejudiced against a particular person because of their skin color. So with that being said, I really do agree with you in terms of saying that it is taught. Go ahead. You have another comment before I move on before.
um, no.
Well, no, go ahead, say what you're gonna, don't be
No,
afraid.
no. I had a thought, but it's
Okay,
going by before you.
while you hopefully that thought will come back. With the emergence of so many incidents that have occurred with the African American race, I definitely want to say that if you don't think that racism exists, whether you're blind or sighted, then you are living under a rock. What do you have to say about that? As I mentioned, with the emergence of this young man, and I'm not going to use names, being killed as a jogger, the incidents that happened in with just other black or African American individuals who have been gunned down by police, and just people blatantly just disrespecting the African American race. Now, whether you're blind or not, if you feel that discrimination or racism doesn't exist, as I mentioned, you hiding under a rock. Let me, won't you expound on that?
I want to find that rock you living under.
For real. Yeah, yeah. Go
You
ahead.
know what? We this has never gone away. This has been always been a problem for us. The difference between now and then, and I say this all the time, is now you're seeing it more because everybody has a camera phone. You can't do anything. You can't get away with anything. I don't know why people commit crimes and think they're going to get away with it because there are cameras everywhere. There are cameras on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got a camera in their hand. There's cameras. Oh, bless those who have put cameras on these police officers. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and there are cameras on the cars, cameras on your house. You can't get away with anything. So for people to not, I have no idea who you've been talking to,
Mm-hmm.
but for these people who don't think that it exists, that's just not normal. It's there, and it's difficult to miss it. It's difficult to miss it. You might be in denial about it, but it's there. And um, our race has always had a hard time. We have a hard enough time as it is. And it seems like you would think that it would get better, but it's getting worse. And with the
What do you mean?
different, like,
Why do you mean that it's getting worse? Give us some.
it's getting worse. You know, you have the with the police killing off our men, and um it's sad because a kid can't be a kid anymore. Like a kid to play a practical joke. They and like I don't like practical jokes, but a kid could play it like a little joke, and they want to lock them up, and they're like 12 years old, and they want to put them in prison for this girl was telling me that some little boys, they were in the 6th grade, and her son was friends with these two little boys, and they had like those tacks. They had tacks in their hand, and they were going around shaking people's hands with these tacks in their hands. They're 12 years old. They're in their 6th grade. So instead of calling their parents or giving them detention or
Mm-hmm.
even suspending them, they had them arrested. And this is like you're getting them at a young age now. You're locking them up and getting, you know what I mean? And this is all like it's systematic. It's a way to break us. It's a whole new way to break us.
So do you
And
think? Go ahead.
now the thing now the thing is um when we go out we have to wear masks. Okay.
Okay.
I mean it's requested, it's not a requirement, but I would recommend that you wear a mask for health reasons. Of course, so let me tell you about this rock and this hard place as far as wearing these masks go. You either don't wear a mask and you risk exposure to this virus,
Mm-hmm.
or you do wear a mask and the people who are already intimidated by your skin color are even more intimidated, and this gives them an excuse to kill you while you're jogging with a mask on your face. This also opens the door for the bigots
That's a good
who
point. That's a good
decide,
point.
okay, I'm going to cover up my whole face. I'm going to wear a Klansman mask to Walmart. Hey, but that person gets away with that sort of thing because he's free to do that. It's supposedly a free country, a
Mm.
quote unquote free country. So he can do that. He hasn't hurt anybody by doing that. He hasn't physically hurt anybody. Forget about the emotional and mental anguish you're causing somebody by walking around with that hood on.
That's true.
You know
That's
what I
true.
mean? So this opens up a door for us to be attacked, and America saying it's okay. You know what I mean?
Right.
And another issue. I'm sorry.
No, before you go further on that, do you, and hold that thought. Do you think that blind people need to open the proverbial eye and understand that regardless of for those who, and I go back to what I've said earlier, for those who feel that racism doesn't exist because they can't see skin color, to understand that if you were to listen and not develop a sense of racism because you're hearing what you're hearing, but just keep an open mind and understand that it does exist. Do you think that a lot of blind people need to open up the proverbial eye and be more in tune to what's going on as opposed to saying that it doesn't exist? You follow what I'm saying?
I mean, if you're saying it out of your mouth that it doesn't exist, it's kind of it's. for lack of a better word, it's a little ignorant for you to say that it doesn't exist. I wouldn't make it my main focus. If you can get the focus away from that, if you can show love and like I always think that we should lead by example. So, show love to people. Um so if you're doing that, there's nothing wrong with it. You can't say you can't say that it doesn't exist though because it's right there. Like it's there.
Well, growing up, and that's why I keep harping on that. That people have told me, or I don't see skin color. I don't see. I just, I'm a visually impaired person who don't see anything. So therefore, to me, racism doesn't or discrimination does not exist. And I agree with what you're saying. It's hard to not really accept the fact that it does, considering the fact that you do hear a lot that's going on. Another question that I want to pose to you is. Do you feel, and you may not have had been privy to this particular situation, but that people I have that people who I mean, you don't know if they're racist or discriminating or not, but a lot of people who they see your as a black person, a black woman, they see your visual impairment before they act, in the same sense of you being you them seeing your color. But most people who try to be or want to be a racist, they may tend to look at you as a blind person and say, well, okay, then the sympathetic card comes out. Then, okay, if I was a racist or was a person that's going to discriminate, then I'm not going to be that way because he's a blind person. Have you ever experienced something of that nature, or what will be your opinion in regards to that? You
Hold
know,
on 1 second. I'm
okay,
sorry, baby.
yeah. Actually, let me, yeah,
I'm sorry. I keep getting
yeah. Just handle your business. I'm gonna play a
here.
little
Take
music
that in
and
your
come
room.
back and answer
I'm
that
gonna
question.
I'll get to it when I'm done. Okay. I'm sorry, my baby.
Okay, now do what you got to do.
She's
You-
done. We're done.
Okay, you follow what I'm saying?
Um. Yeah, I follow what you're saying. Um. So
Like a lot, like people
if
see
if
your.
people are not if people are not showing racism towards me, I don't know whether they're racist or not. Okay. I will give you a couple of examples. I lived in Parma Heights. So this
Mm,
is a suburb of Cleveland.
mm,
And Parma Heights is predominantly Caucasian.
mm,
I was actually when I first moved into my building, there was a black man who lived there.
mm,
And he ended up moving, so I ended up being the only black person in the building. Um and I never had an issue
mm,
with anybody. I had it was like a really old couple who stayed across the hall from me, and the old man, he was like in a walk. He had a walker and everything. He offered to help me take out my garbage and everything. Like I never had an issue. But one day I was a paratransit driver came and picked me up,
mm,
and she was like, "Why did you move out here?" I said, "Because it's nice. Like I can walk to any store I want to. It's comfortable. I had moved out the hood. I would felt good about my move."
mm,
And she was like, "They don't like black people out here." And I was like, "I don't have a problem with these people." She's like, "But you can't see how they look." And I said, "Exactly. I don't care how these people looking at me. They're not saying anything to me, so I don't have a problem with them. They're not gonna do anything to me." So that was one of those instances. Like even when I first told my uncle I was moving out there, he's like, "Why would you move out in Klans land?" Like they had signs in their yard that had
right, right, right,
KKK on it, stuff like
right.
that. But I couldn't see any of this. All I knew was I was moving out into a nice area. You know
But let
what I
me
mean?
but let me stop you right there. Because of the fact, and that's gonna bring home what we were talking about. Because of the fact that you couldn't see the skin color, you couldn't see the signs. You were not and for lack of better words, ignorant to the fact that discrimination or racism does not exist, right? So you already knew that it does exist,
I knew. Of course I
right?
knew.
Right.
I just didn't care
There you
because
go.
I'm one of those people. I'm that person right there.
Mhm.
I don't care. Y'all don't bother me. I don't care. Like I'm a person just like you. I'm not bothering you, don't bother me. Stay in your lane, I'll stay over here in mine.
mm,
I'm not scared of racist people. I've never been afraid of them.
mm,
That's your problem. That's an issue between you and God, honey. You have hate in your heart. I was not taught to hate, and so I don't. So yeah, I don't worry about that. And another instance, and I told you about this before too. I got on a plane. I had my guide dog. I got on this plane.
mm.
This guy was speaking to me. He was in love with my dog. He was petting my dog, which you shouldn't do.
Right.
And my dog like climbed up in his lap. I had to pull her down, and he's like, "It's okay." And he's letting my dog lick him in his face and everything. And we had a layover in Nashville, and this lady ended up sitting in between us, and she was a black lady, and she was kind of big. And this guy was like so nasty. Like they announced that the flight was full, and he stops the flight attendant like, "Can I get a seat where I can sit by myself? The flight is full. Of course you can't get another
Right.
seat."
Right.
And he was like, oh my goodness, can you scoot over or something? We're on a Southwest flight. So these seats are small. And at the time, I didn't know that you can lift up the arm of the seat.
Mm,
Because if I'd have known that, I'd have lifted up the arm in between me and this lady and let her scoot over closer to me
mm,
because I had room. But
mm.
this guy was making such a big deal about this woman touching him because she was a big woman, but it wasn't like she was like overflowing into his seat,
Right.
but
Right.
she was touching him. And I wanted to tell him so bad, hey, you just let my black dog lick you in the face and that black woman can't touch you.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
it's nuts. But he was like altogether different with me. And I think it had a lot to do with me having a dog and a lot to do with me being blind. Like we do get treated a little bit more gentler
Mm,
not being able to see. Even when I got arrested during a protest,
mm.
they were a little bit more gentler with me because I'm blind than they were with, the other black people that they were arresting.
Which definitely solidifies or brings home the point and what have you. Definitely, I mean, because like I say, I've gone to a predominantly white school, and I haven't really. I've only experienced racism on, I mean, not racism, but discrimination. In the sense that, when it comes to maybe certain jobs after I graduated, but I can't. I'd be lying if I say that I've experienced anything because of the color of my skin, because people look at my blindness first, then there goes a sympathy card. So I definitely wanted to touch home these particular parts,
I
and you
wanted to ask you a question.
and you've definitely solidified that. But go ahead.
I wanted to ask you a question.
Sure.
We've been throwing around words like black people, white people, Caucasian, African American, right? So my question to you is, what is our nationality truly?
Well, uh, for a lack of a subject, for a better another day, another time, but I will answer the question. I'll answer the question. Uh, I really, if you do your homework and delve deeper into knowing your ancestry, you'll be able to apply the your terminology as to what race you are. The African American name had come up. I think it was, and I don't want to sound ignorant, but via Jesse Jackson back in the couple of years, wait, about 16, 15, 16, 20 years ago, and he developed that because of the fact that our ancestors come from Africa and things of that nature.
But did all of our ancestors come from Africa?
But
See, there are different countries, and Africa is a continent. You know what I mean? There are different. Some of our ancestors may have come from islands, and you know
parts,
what I mean.
exactly,
Like,
exactly.
and unless you can afford to look into your ancestry, you have no idea where you're from. And the reason why I asked you that question
Mm,
is because I was talking to a college professor one day,
mm,
and he asked me that question. And I said, automatically, African American. And he said, you've never been to Africa, though. You're not from Africa. You don't know whether you're from Africa. So how can you call yourself an African American? And so, okay, I defaulted to black. He said, is your skin really black? And I was like, no.
mm,
You know what I mean?
mm,
Like, so,
Well,
And the reason why I did that, because the reason why I asked that question is something that I think about all the time, is because we are truly a people. We don't we have no idea where we're from. We don't know anything about our original cultures. All that was stripped from us when
right.
we were brought over to this country. And what's really sad about it is that on one hand we have been Americanized, or I should say Europeanized, because the Europeans took over this country. And but we, but we're not widely accepted here either. And that brings me to what I said at the top of this. Like, there's no place in this world that we can go. And I seriously, I invite someone to correct me if I'm wrong. Please, please name me a place that we can go where we can just live and be us. Dark skin, light skin, us, whatever. Where can we go and just be us?
Well, definitely. I hope you all are listening and take heed and leave it in the comments in terms of what she has proposed. But to bring it home, it definitely hits home as far as blind people understanding the sense that there is a sense of discrimination in my eyes, proverbial eyes, and Jennifer's as well. But to answer your question, I think if we do delve into our ancestry, and regardless if I went to Africa or I'm from Africa, whatever, you basically base it on your ancestry and in my understanding, and know that since your ancestry, grandmother, way back in the day, all the way up until now, come from Africa, you are a descendant. So that makes maybe I may be wrong, but an African American. So I'm not a historian, but what what
I did do a DNA test once last year. And of course, we're mixed with a bunch of stuff. Okay, we've been here long enough to be like really mixed with stuff. But this DNA test would tell you like what percentage you have of these different races. And I found that I am mostly oh, I can't think right now. It's on the tip of my tongue, but it's African, of course.
okay, well that
It's,
being
it's
well with that
African. So I got my answer, but my question was for you.
well that's
And
the
I
only
we
smart thing
were
that I can come
we
up with.
we thought that we were originally from Haiti, but we found out we didn't have any Haitian in us at all. So yeah, we got the answer. We kind of got the answer from that DNA test. And like I said, if you can afford to actually do it, because this was not as deep as I wanted to go as far as my ancestry, because it was free. And one day I will do like
Right,
the ancestry DNA test and everything.
right,
But if you can look into it, it would be great to find out, where your ancestors are from, and research it and stuff. I actually researched, foods from the country that they had pinpointed me, because I was thinking, maybe if we kind of, and this is like another subject for another day
right,
too,
right, right, right,
but just kind of like thinking about like our diets and how we can be healthier and everything like that, because what works for some people may not work for other people. So that's what made me like look up this food and what they normally eat, a healthy diet for this race of people. So, look into stuff like that, because we have a tendency to adopt other
right.
people's
Culture.
cultures. I got like super into Japanese culture at one time because it was pretty. You know what I mean?
So with that being said, as we wrap it up, have we discovered that as African Americans or Black African Americans that racism does exist, or discrimination does exist in the 2020s and before then, and probably beyond if things are not corrected? Have we both agree that it does
Yeah,
exist?
of course, of
Okay.
course, of course.
Well, there we have it, you all. I'm glad to have brought Jennifer on here to get her side. And if you have any conflicting or any any situations where you feel indifferent, then let us know in the comments and things of that nature. So with that being said, as the music begins to play, let them know again where they can find you at and whatnot, Jennifer.
You can find me anywhere that you spell Jennifer Jinnerfer because nobody in the world spells their name that way. But you can find me under Jennifer's Open Book, Jinnerfer apostrophe S. Open Book. Find me on Facebook under Jennifer Janelle, on Instagram under Miss Jennifer S.
Okay.
So check me out, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. And she has no filters on her channel. And
None.
I want to thank you all for tuning in to Third Eye Visions, where we motivate the blind, stimulate your mind, and definitely stimulate your mind on various topics as well as that, and welcome all kinds. So, with that being said, Jennifer, since you my ride or die, I'm gonna let you have the last word and end this show.
Um, Bye.
Very, very creative. Y'all stay tuned. We got a lot of things coming up in the future. I'm not gonna tell y'all what it is because I want people to steal our ideas. But thanks for tuning in to Third Eye Visions, where it's if you have any topics you want to get be on the show, send it in to us. Uh, Same as Jennifer's Open Book, and we're gonna get it going. So I'm out. Y'all be cool. Yeah.